Hello, Grilled Runners here. This is part 3 of my drone building, and this is the progress so far. So I got all the pieces on except for the FPV camera and the camera transmitter, the antenna. But I do have the satellite receiver, which is basically how I fly the drone with the controller. But all these connections here, did a bit of soldering. So for example, as an example, each motor is connected, soldered on to the ESC. And then they're soldered on basically directly to the ESC. It doesn't matter where. And then what else I did was the flight controller, which is this part, needs power, and the only way for it to get power is 5 volts. So you would find a 5-volt pad on your PDB. So I found one right here, 5 volts going out. So red is power, black is ground. So what it is I used a wire that came with the PDB, but I did snip off the signal wire, and instead of plugging it or soldering it to a 5 volts, I guess like down here, what I did instead is the flight controller controls your motors with this side of the flight controller. So there's like room for 8 motors. So the spare motors, so like the pins I'm not using, because I only have 4 motors. So the spare pins, I use that to put the 5 volts into the flight controller. It'll just draw the power from this connection on this end, and it powers the flight controller. And then all the motors, so they're powered by the PDB, but then they're controlled with a signal and ground wire from the flight controller. So I just soldered on some on the pins to the motor part of the flight controller. And then motors are numbered differently, like the way they're plugged in is according to how you program it. So I'm using CleanFlight, and CleanFlight says a certain order. So I plug each motor in. The numbers do matter, so each number goes to the correct motor, which will be programmed on CleanFlight. And that's about it. Powered to the flight controller, signal to the flight controller from the motors, and then motors soldered, connected to the ESC. And what I'm gonna do next, solder in the satellite receiver so that I can control it with an actual radio controller. Thanks for watching.